Good evening, class. Professor Ripley, my name is Luis Monterroza. I'm going to do my presentation on debate number 4. Due to national security concerns, the bombings on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were justified. Again, just my personal point of view. Just wanted to quickly highlight the national security concerns back then. As we all know, Japanese had attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, back on December 7th, 1941. Ushering the United States into World War II, even though up until that point we had been doing land lease agreements and supplying the Allies. So we were already using our full industrial might and turning it into kind of a war machine, honestly, to supply the Allies and to push back on the Axis powers. As we've learned in class, with the Monroe Doctrine and other foreign policy that past U.S. presidential administrations had, we had basically taken over the Philippines after the Spanish-American War. During World War II, Japanese Empire expands, they take over the Philippines and other U.S. territories. And obviously, as a nation, we can't let that stand. And honestly, island hopping course of action that the Allies in the United States took, it's very costly and very time um, time consuming. So the ultimate goal of invading Japan was kind of on a out of reach, and kind of there was a loss of appetite and the loss of life and material that the United States and allies would have had to have faced. So why was it necessary to drop the bombs twice? Several pros in the United States point of view. We're going to save U.S. service member lives. President Truman at that point is thinking that, this is going to end the war quickly. We had created the atomic bombs through the War Department, through the Manhattan Project. So again, that's, military and scientists. The U.S. government's going to want to make sure that their investment and this terrible weapon that they had created, that it works and that scares the rest of the world. Again, as mentioned earlier, island hopping all the way to the Japanese mainland, not really feasible in the sense of how much time and precious blood we're going to have to spill, especially after Iwo Jima and Okinawa. Part of the National Museum of the United States Air Force, military advisors President Harry Truman estimated that an invasion of Japan would cost between 250,000 and 1 million Allied casualties, plus an equal number for the enemy. So again, President Truman's thinking that's too high a cost. He'd rather just go for a victory blow, not once but twice. And we only had 2 bombs at that time. Obviously, the major cons are the world's gonna know about the atomic weapons, and they're gonna want to get their own. Pandora's box has been opened, and then obviously the tragic loss of life. And most of the people killed were civilians, so I don't want to minimize what happened or, the terrible loss of life that did occur. The ramifications of the actual bombings themselves. So after the 2 bombings on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the nuclear age was born, mutually assured destruction or MAD was ushered in. So again, that's the period of time United States and the United States Soviet republics, the USSR, basically are in an arms race competing, just stockpiling and creating new and more terrible atomic bombs. The actual tragic loss of life, so there was approximately over 120,000 killed in Hiroshima, and then there was over 70,000 killed in Nagasaki. So again, countless more died later on of cancer or other radiation poisoning, whatnot. Part of the National Park Service. 1 week later, on August 14th, 1945, after the second atomic bomb was dropped in Nagasaki, the Japanese surrendered. World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, with between 50 and 85 million fatalities, was finally over. So again, if you're President Truman, you basically got what you wanted, even though you had to kind of cross a moral boundary and do something very, very tragic. And here are my sources. Luckily, Nowadays, the United States and Japan are allies, and especially in the Pacific, and we're able to move on past that tragic event. Thank you for your time. Bye.